Y'all like Trina? Woo woo. Okay, we back. I am so glad to see y'all today. Thank you again for rocking out and being here. Welcome to our monthly class. Last time we talked about how to get clear and organized about our path, and we discussed how to organize our lives with priorities taking the forefront, and then structuring time around the priorities. So, and then I shared some resources. Um, Y'all know I live in the park and it's warm outside. It's warm outside, so the dirt bikes are out, and I do well. I don't apologize for the noise, but if it gets distracting for real, I will put my headphones on. But I was trying to just go without my headphones today. But if it does get to be distracting, I'll put them in. So I shared some resources that I created for myself once I left the traditional workforce, because once I didn't have a job taking up most of the time in my day, I had the freedom to create my own daily schedule, right? But I didn't realize it. I didn't see it that way at first. Think about this. Freedom ain't free, okay? We like just think about it. Like freedom, think about that word free. And it's like when you first hear the word free, what comes to mind? I don't know. You might think I don't have to pay for it if it's free. It's easy to access if it's free, right? It don't cost no money. Whatever might come up to you. Or I can just like be whatever comes up for you, right? But freedom itself is not free. It does cost. It could cost, but not money. It could cost responsibility. It could cost discipline that allows us to do the things that we need to do or the things that we're desiring to do. All right. We need to be responsible on some level, and we need to have some level of discipline to maintain and sustain what we're doing. So let me tell you a little bit about the mindset shift that I had during that time. You have 24 hours in a day that you get to use, right? So how you going to use that 24 hours? This is what I was thinking. When I was a salaried employee with the school district, when I had days off, automatically it was just like I'm resting or I'm doing some partying some way. Rest or recreation. Like that was it. And the whole point was that I could do the things that I didn't feel like I had time to do when I was working, or when I was even at home preparing for work. Because y'all, I don't know if y'all know, but think about it. Like the teachers work just as much at home sometimes as they do when they be in the classroom. So when I was on spring break or summer break or winter break or a couple of days off or whatever, I focused more that time on just chill time, just like doing whatever I felt like doing, because I wasn't focused on being productive in a way to make money. I was already getting paid because I was a salaried employee. So all of that was an opportunity for me to shift from a passive mindset and a merit based mindset, and I'm gonna get into what those were in a second, to a more empowering and a more intentional mindset. So the passive mindset was this: if you don't have to go to work, this is me talking to myself with that mindset. If you don't have to go to work, then you really don't have to be intentional with your time, because the time that matters most is what you do to go to work and make money. And the merit-based mindset that I had at that time was, all right, girl, you worked hard enough. Now you get to chill, rest, or party because you earned it through your hard work. So over time, I don't know if I'm going to get too much into talking about the mindset part of it today. It might just flow into what my intention is. We'll see. Because I want to get into some workshopping if we have, with the time that we have left. But when I had the opportunity to shape my day with the time that I'm gifted each day by focusing on the priorities instead of just the time, that is the what's something that really helped me to shift out of that passive mindset to naturally growing to be more intentional with my time. Remember, that passive mindset was, if you ain't got to go to work, then you can just basically chill. So How do you know what your true priorities are? All right, remember, we're carrying on this theme from previous conversations. You know what your priorities are because they stem from your values. And remember, we talked about this last time too. One of the most beautiful things about being your own person and stepping into that sovereignty is that you get to choose what your values are. Now, I want to say this too. Like many of us were raised by people. I don't think anybody in here was raised by wolves. But if I'm wrong in the chat, correct me. But many of us was raised by a family that taught us values. And some of us also learned values in school. And some of us, pick up on the values of our culture or of like the region that we live in, or maybe even gender-based values, whatever, right? But my point is that a lot of those values are taught to us from some other person or place. And a lot of times we learn those lessons when we're young. But it is okay. You can give yourself permission to sit and explore. Someone in the chat was raised by horses. Okay. I think that was a horse emoji. I'm not sure. What was I saying? You can give yourself permission to explore what your true values are. Remember, we talked about how do we do that? How do we do that? We can do that by spending that intentional and intuitive time with ourselves, blocking out all the distractions and focusing in on what is going on inside of here and what feels good inside of here. If it feels good to you, then likely that means that it's aligned for you. But if it don't feel good to you, then it might be something that isn't as aligned. And I've been writing a lot about that on my Patreon. If y'all are members, y'all have seen it. And perhaps I will talk some about that in another session, just about the difference between feeling something and knowing it's aligned or not. But that's a different conversation. I don't want to get too off track from talking about organizing by priorities. So let's get back into that. So, okay. You can do this whole organizing your day by your priorities. You can do this whether you have a regular job. Like when I say that, I mean like a traditional 9 to 5, whatever the schedule is. It could be 8 to 4, it could be a night shift or whatever, but that's not the point. The point is whether you have a regular job or, whether it's full-time or part-time, that doesn't matter. Whether you are between jobs, okay? Say you had a job and then something happened and now you're in the market looking for one, right? Or if you're building a business, or if you are, some of us are in a blend of all three of those energies at the same time. It don't matter. You can do this whatever your situation is, okay? But I want to say something real quick about the between jobs thing. Give a quick example. Sometimes when we're in between jobs, we might spend time looking for a new one, about updating our resume or sending out applications, going on interviews, walking around to see who might be hiring, calling up friends and family, like, do you know someone who's hiring for this? And, this, that, and the third. And then we do those things, right? And then we just kind of sit back and we wait for the results to come in. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. But waiting on employers to get back to us to say, yes, you're in. That is another way that passive mindset manifests. Think about this, y'all. A lot of the ways that we feel is normal to live, and this is the normal way to be an adult, it is still a conditioned mindset. Ooh, come on with it, Source. Thank you. It's like, I don't have to do anything because I'm supposed to wait until this person tells me I'm worthy enough to work for their company. Right? Y'all like Trina? Woo-hoo. Okay. That's a quick aside. The music come on and I could get easily distracted. All right, but we back. Okay. So you see what I mean? That passivity gets conditioned into us, okay? It starts from school time. I just got to learn what the teacher tell me to learn. This is what is in the school curriculum. This is what I go to school to do. This is my assignment. I finished my assignment, and then I ain't got to worry about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, like this, this is what I'm supposed to learn in this grade. And I don't really have to worry about anything else because I went to school, I did the work, I passed these tests, I got these grades. All right, then kept it moving. Think about, I was talking to my homegirl, y'all. I got a homegirl who grew up in South Africa, right? And she was saying how I don't know, we talk about just everything. So we was on a topic talking about, how most of the world uses the metric system for measurement except for in America. Because I said something about how I didn't ever really see a point in learning the metric system, so I always have to go online and type in Google and do a conversion like feet to centimeters or like whatever to kilograms. I don't know what the measurements are. That's how much I don't know, right? So she was just saying, yeah, but the whole world except for America uses the metric system, so that's why you should have learned it. And I said, yes, perhaps, but do I live in another place in the world? No. Do I live in America? Yes. So I was saying how it was just such a complete waste of my brain space when I was in third, fourth, fifth, sixth. That's probably, third, fourth, and fifth, I feel like is when I did that work the most. It was a complete waste of time and brain energy for me learning about that because it has not yet even, I'm in my 40s, y'all. It has not yet ever been relevant in my life for me to know about the metric system. And I told her, now, if I happen to move to a place where that is relevant, then of course I would spend time and energy to learn it. And then she even confirmed, yeah, where I grew up in school, I'm talking about what she said, where she grew up in school, they ain't learn about no Fahrenheit and inches, gallons. She was like, what's a gallon? We was laughing and stuff, but you get what I'm saying? So, but school is really good at that, really good at filling our time up with things that don't really matter and then just allowing us to like fall back and chill and wait for someone else to evaluate us on the things that we did that don't even really matter. So I share those things because the passive mindset isn't something that we need to feel bad about or guilty about or be like, oh my goodness, like, am I a bum because I have this passive mindset? No, we were all conditioned to think and then therefore behave in that way, in some way or another. It just becomes to be about that awareness. You know what I'm saying? So basically, right, you can choose what you desire to learn about instead of thinking like, oh, I can only learn what the teacher or the curriculum says I need to learn. Or you can choose to use your time to do more than just wait for an employer to tell you that you can come work for them. You know what I mean? So we might feel really good after doing an interview, really accomplished, like, yes, I got that out the way, right? And feel like we've done enough for that day. So now we can just like laze around, chill, watch some movies, be in the stream all day and all night, play the game all day and all night. Because why? Because I'm waiting for someone else to tell me I can come make money for them. Okay, what I'm here to tell you, and listen, there is nothing inherently wrong with any of that. I'm just here to offer another perspective. Okay, one of my favorite quotes that someone I used to work with like a decade ago shared with me. She said, do what's hard when things are easy. And child, that hit me then and it still resonates now. A clear example of that is like if you are between jobs and you don't have someone clocking your time, expecting you to come in at 8, take your break at 12, leave at 5, right? Then you can do so much with that time. You can use that time in such a intentional way to build whatever it is that you're building according to what you desire for your life. And how do you know what those things are that you truly desire? Who has really been listening? Who knows? Who remembers? How do you get really clear on knowing what those things are? You know that because they stem from your what? Your values. And you get clear on your values by blocking out all of the noise and spending intentional time with yourself. All right? So let me know if this is resonating with y'all. Let me know if anything is hitting it on any points. So, but real quick before we get out of here, because we have a little bit of time left. So I want to share more about what I did in a practical way. Because my thing about living a holistic lifestyle or a spiritual lifestyle is that it has to have practical feet. We have to learn how to live in a holistic way, or even prioritize our spirituality or our spiritual being, but still live on earth, right? Still has to be a certain level of groundedness to it. So what I did during that time was I created some guides to help me through it. And I shared those guides in our previous session. I'll share them again if y'all would like to see them. And I'm actually going to pull them up now. This is a copy of the document that I shared in our previous session. This is the organizational resource library. When I created it, I was like, I need to learn how to use my time better, because this is not summer vacation for me where I can just chill and relax and get up when I want and then my paycheck is coming every 2 weeks. This is ample time for me to really get clear about me, really be about me, and see how I'm building what I'm building here. So that's how this started. I was like, I need to get clear on how I'm using my time. But it grew into I know what I value, and then from my values, I create my priorities. And then whatever is highest priority gets the most time. And that's just like, then it starts to flow. All right, so let's take a look at some of these. So if you have this document, which I'll share with y'all, you're going to be prompted to make a copy, and it's called Where Does My Time Go? Use this to see exactly where your time goes daily. And you can make as many copies as you need to do like the weekdays versus weekends, or as your situation changes, you might be like, okay, I need to see what's going on. So remember that where attention goes, energy flows. So where we invest our time is usually where we will see the most activity in our lives. What you give energy the most to is what you're going to see the most flourishment. We just made up that word, I think, flourishment. But I think the real word is flourishing in our lives. So this tool can support you with that in ways that are most aligned with your goals. So I have it starting here at 6 a.m. I think we do it in 2-hour increments. So what are you doing from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.? A lot of people may still be sleeping around that time, especially if it's summertime, or you're not in school, or you're not, you're on break from work or something like that. Okay, when are you getting up and what are you doing? Right? This one right here will expose you to yourself, baby. Okay, but it's all good, because you get to see exactly how you've been using the whole 24 hours you've been gifted every day, and you can make the necessary changes. And then we have a couple more to show. We have the holistic checklist. Now, this is actually the first one that I created, but when I created the other ones, I saw how actually this probably should come before any of this, because you might not know if you're brand new. Only if you're brand new to like approaching your life from this way, you might need some guidance, right? But so I did this one first. Here's a sample of this. So here's how you use this one. After you have identified what your values are and what your priorities are based on that, you break them into categories. So the beauty about all of my templates, y'all, is that they're fully customizable. So you can change it to be whatever you want. So I have a template for home. Not template. I have a category for home, my mind and spirit, body, service and lifestyle, aka work. You could put that on there. You can change this category to work if you want to. Self-care, finances, social, family, romance and partnership, travel, and then I have like spaces for new categories as things come up. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. These are the things that are important to me, that I desire to take care of on a regular basis, and that I need to. I have a home to take care of, so what do I have to do in that home? And I also work from my home, so what do I need to do in that home to make sure everything is okay and comfortable and clean and all that? This is just a sample, but I think this sample is like one of my personal ones. We also have a weekly view. Check this one out. Making a copy. The weekly view breaks it down. Okay, so what did I do? I took these same categories: home, mind, body, spirit, service and lifestyle, self-care, finances, etc., and I plugged them into, okay, on Sunday, these are the things that I need to do. All right. I do a lot of working in my home on Sundays because that's a day where I don't have a lot of work stuff scheduled. Right. Okay. On Monday, I got this going on. Tuesday, okay. So now I'm like, really starting to get into a groove of how I'm spending my time or how I'm using my time. I could say spending because once the time go away, you don't get it back. So I can say spend. But I'm getting really clear on how the time is being spent, but it's all based on my priorities, okay? Getting real clear. Bills for the week, rent, mobile bill, cable, entertainment, groceries, snacks. Listen, Twitch subs was a thing. Gifts and bits. I had to really get clear on, okay, yeah, you putting a lot of money to this? Write it down, girl, so you can know where that money is going, right? Get real clear, y'all. You have the power to do this for yourself and your life. This one is called the weekly structure flow. It is really beneficial for those who are building their own business, right? If you are a student or employee and you're used to like having a roster that tells you where to go at this time to this time, or you had a schedule from work and you know what you do at this time and this time, this template is really helpful to help you transition from that scheduled mindset so you can be like, okay, this is how I'm using my day to day. Because I realized, like, girl, you wasting a lot of time every day that you could be working on your stuff. You could be building this. You could be learning about that, right? So I broke my day up. You can break it up however you want, but I like to get up around the sunrise. So I broke it up into the rising, into the early afternoon, then midday, and then evening, and then night. And you see how like most of the stuff I do more stuff early, and then like as it winds down, I would do stuff later. So I mean less stuff later. So this is a way for you to organize that type of stuff, that kind of time, when you have that whole 24-hour period, but you become the one who is responsible for organizing it. And it's not a hiring manager or a teacher or anything like that. You will not need to use those forever, okay? Because enough practice of anything that we do results in embodiment. And that's the goal for what we value and believe in. Our goal is to embody it. So it comes through us from the inside out and it becomes part of your being. You know, think about when's the last time you read a cell phone manual when you first got your cell phone? Probably been so long since you ever did that. When's the last time you looked at the steps of your favorite recipe to make it? You probably don't need to do that anymore because you embody it. Once you embody, these are my values. They're not going to like go away and just like fall to the wayside because you stop writing it down, because you have embodied them, and they're going to come through you in what you say, what you choose to do, who you choose to talk to, and all of those different things, right? How you choose to spend your time and all of that. So you won't need to use it forever. But it can also be a helpful guide to, a resource rather to use when you need to. Like occasionally, I go back to the holistic checklist every now and then when I need a reset or when I have pivoted and I'm doing something different with my work or my creative projects, or when there's a lot going on and I need clarity and more organization, then I might go back to it. That is what I have for my lovely people today. Thank you again so much for being here. I will see y'all next time. Peace.